In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the latest with Geoffrey and Varya's crazy relationship. What's happened to the pair since they were last on our screens? Are they really over? What happened to Mary? What's this about weddings, pregnancies, court cases, and peacocks? Oh my gosh, there's so much drama to get through with these two. So, as you no doubt recall, Geoffrey and Varya's relationship was full of twists and turns. Country boy Geoffrey from Knoxville, Tennessee seemed certain that he'd found the one after meeting Russian DJ Varya on a dating site. The only problem was, he hadn't exactly been honest with her. You see, Geoffrey had quite an extensive criminal past, which he'd hidden from Varya. On top of that, he'd also recently had a lot of heartbreak following the tragic death of his 1-year-old son. Now, having had 4 failed marriages in the past, understandably both his friends and family, including a certain Mary, who we'll come back to later, were all very sceptical, painting Varya out to be an opportunist who was just exploiting Geoffrey's vulnerability and his heartbreak in order to get herself a green card. And when the pair first met, those worries seemed to be very real because there was a lot of awkwardness between them. And then, bit by bit, we slowly started finding out that Geoffrey hadn't exactly been honest with Varya about other parts of his life. Apparently, hiding the fact that he had kids, being evasive about his past relationships, and then of course, the big one, his criminal past.
Why did you both broke up?
I really don't like talking about it.
Why? Why did you tell me when we started our conversation you have no kids?
Now, for their part, Varya, her friends and her family all seemed to have a gut feeling that there was more to Geoffrey than he was letting on, which of course was true. And so, when Geoffrey finally revealed that he was an ex-convict, their reaction wasn't exactly surprising. The fact that Varya's cousin had died at a young age from drugs made Geoffrey's past as a drug dealer even harder to accept. Now, despite all the concerns and red flags on both sides, now don't forget, Geoffrey also discovered that Varya had been speaking to and had even met up with other American men from the same dating site, he did eventually end up proposing to Varya, but she rejected him, telling him that she needed more time. And as a result, Geoffrey went home in a sulk, barely communicated or replied to Varya's messages, and in his mind, their relationship was over. Cue Mary, Geoffrey's friend / ex-girlfriend from before. From the start, Mary had made it clear in no uncertain terms that she wanted to be with him.
Why Russia? Why are you even going there instead of here, 2 feet from you? Why am I not good enough?
So, when Mary and Geoffrey rekindled their relationship, it seemed like Geoffrey was going to have his shot at love after all. Until Varya showed up, unannounced, at Geoffrey's house to surprise him. Although they'd barely spoken in 3 months since he'd returned from Russia, she'd come to the realization that she wanted to spend the rest of her life with him. And now, there she was, in America, showing up on his doorstep, hoping he'd still feel the same. And so, when she knocked on Geoffrey's door completely unannounced, only to see Mary there, we had one of the most dramatic scenes in the show's history.
It's a surprise! I hate it!
I'm really surprised, actually.
I miss you so much.
Are you kidding me right now? Jeffrey, what's going on?
I'm not talking to you.
Hold on a second. Don't.
I don't talk to you.
Yell at me. Don't yell at me.
Could we speak without her?
No, I think
She irritates me. Just
irritates
being
you.
here.
Irritates you? Are you kidding me right now? The only thing that's irritating is you.
So, what happened to the love triangle? Where are they all now? Well, as I'm sure you remember, Geoffrey did end up back with Varya, relegating poor Mary back to the friendship zone. And in the final episode of the season, Geoffrey got down on one knee for the second time to propose to Varya, which this time she accepted. She'd won her man, or so it seemed. Now, the problem was, while the show had been airing, TLC had come in for a lot of criticism. The fact that they'd knowingly allowed Geoffrey to appear on the show, despite his long list of criminal convictions and pending criminal cases, angered a lot of people, and understandably so. His rap sheet has a lot of very concerning charges that go beyond just the drug charges that were mentioned on the show. The fact that 2 ex-wives and an ex-girlfriend have levelled some very serious abuse and domestic violence accusations, which I've got to stress he denies, we'll come to that shortly, but nonetheless, you can understand why that caused so much upset from fans who saw it as inappropriate and just wrong that he received any airtime at all. So much so, in fact, that following fan pressure, TLC made the decision not to include Geoffrey in the tell-all episode that usually accompanies the end of every season. But here's where things start to get a little murky. You see, although the couple didn't appear on the tell-all, and they haven't been on any spin-offs since their season aired, Varya and Geoffrey are still contractually tied to TLC, and as a result, their non-disclosure agreement, which they claim prevents them from revealing certain details about themselves, are still apparently legally binding. And that's led to some really strange situations. For a start, TLC apparently shut down Geoffrey's attempt to release his own tell-all episode on his social media, in which he wanted to share his side of the story. And here's where it gets even stranger. Geoffrey and Varya also claim that the non-disclosure agreement prevents them from being able to confirm or deny if they're still together. It's all very strange. Every time they're asked about their relationship on social media, both of them avoid giving any clear answer. It's always some cryptic, evasive response, usually blaming TLC. So what's the truth? Are they together or are they not? Well, there's a lot of evidence to suggest that they're not together anymore. For a start, in one of his interviews, when asked how often they speak, Geoffrey revealed that he and Varya don't actually speak all that much. Okay, kinda strange. The pair also don't follow each other on Instagram, and Varya has had a number of IG posts, for example this one from November 2020, where she's clearly holding up her left hand without an engagement ring. But it's not quite so cut and dry. You see, Varya is currently in the United States, and she has been for over 4 months, but not on a K1 visa, on a tourist visa. Now, while there's no new photos of them together during this time, I think it's pretty clear that they have been meeting up. And that's where the evidence starts to stack up towards them still being an item. For example, take a look at the cabinets and the wall colour in the background of this Instagram story that Varya posted on New Year's Eve. Now, look at the cabinets from Geoffrey's house. Look familiar? I think we can all agree they're the same, right? So they seem to have spent New Year's together at Geoffrey's home. We've also got photos of her at a restaurant that eagle-eyed viewers have traced back to Knoxville, Geoffrey's hometown. On top of this, she's also revealed that when coming to America, she sold her apartment in Russia, implying that she's probably here for the long haul. I mean, you don't sell your home if you're just on vacation. And she's brought her dog along with her too. And then the wedding dress drama. Oh, the wedding dress. When Varya and a well-known Colorado-based wedding photographer both posted photos of her in a wedding dress, understandably, the rumour mill went into overdrive. The only problem was, we have no photos of her groom, only a hand. And sure, she's in a wedding dress and hiring a wedding photographer, but she's also including the hashtag model. So I guess there's some confusion as to whether it might have just been a modelling shoot and not actually a wedding. And in keeping with her usual evasive way, Varya also released a video on her YouTube channel in which she shows some behind the scenes footage from the wedding dress photo shoot. Again, no groom in sight, but she makes no reference at all to whether it's a modelling shoot or a marriage. Thanks, Varya. And then, also in the same video, again just teasing and toying with fans, we see a hand feeding her. Geoffrey's hand maybe? I don't know. But whoever it was, it seems they were very comfortable and intimate with each other. Oh, and her more recent IG photos show that she's now wearing a ring on her wedding finger. So although there's no confirmation one way or another for what it's worth, and some people might not agree with me here, but my take on this is that they are together and they have got married. I get the impression they might be in line for another show at some point, depending on Geoffrey's upcoming court cases. Let me explain. My theory is I think they've been filming, and that's why TLC doesn't want information to be released before their show airs. But given the backlash last time around, I think TLC are waiting on the verdict of Geoffrey's court case with his ex-girlfriend. I think if he's found not guilty, they're going to be on the show. But I think if he's guilty, then maybe it won't be aired. Although, knowing TLC, maybe it still will be. I don't know. But what is Geoffrey's court case all about? Let's get to that. Well, he's being charged with aggravated kidnapping and domestic assault. According to the arrest affidavit, his ex-girlfriend, Brittany Wilson, alleges
Paschel was in an intoxicated state and assaulted her at her home. Wilson told police he grabbed her by the neck and slammed her head against a wall several times, and then thrown to the ground.
And that's not all. He's also accused of interfering with an emergency call and vandalism after he attempted to kick out the windows of the police car after he was arrested. Now, Geoffrey believes that this is all a ploy against him, intended to make him lose custody of his children. In fact, he claims he rejected a plea deal that would have resulted in the case being over. Because, he says, he's desperate to go to court, take to the stand, and tell his version of events, in order, presumably, to prove his innocence. Now, what we do know for sure is that the case was meant to be heard in 2020, but it's had to be pushed back a few times because of the coronavirus. So, maybe once the case is finally tried and there's a verdict, one way or another, then maybe that'll help to determine if Geoffrey and Varya will appear on 90 Day Fiance again. Also worth pointing out, if he's found guilty, Geoffrey might be facing further jail time. But if this legal expert's to be believed, it seems that appearing on the show in the first place might have helped Geoffrey's case, and perhaps even increased the likelihood that he'll get a more sympathetic jury.
You know, I think that we're going to get people who will absolutely know the show, like him. They may find a lot of similarities with Geoffrey. I mean, Mr. Paschel, he has a lot in common with the typical juror there. And so I think that they'll like him.
Don't forget, TLC were okay airing Geoffrey and Varya's story knowing Geoffrey's past the first time around. So if he's found not guilty, I think they'll probably be okay doing it again. And I mean, as far as the whole non-disclosure agreement goes, you've got to imagine that there's a reason they're sticking to the rules of the contract so closely, and they're keeping their relationship such a closely guarded secret. Like, think of it this way. If Varya and Geoffrey had absolutely no hope of being on the show again, then why would they care if they burned their bridges and revealed whatever they wanted? After all, lots of ex-stars have basically ripped up their contract with no repercussions. Stephanie for one, Larissa another, Mark and Nikki, Paul and Karini, I mean, the list goes on and on. How many times have we seen couples split up, get into new relationships, then post photos of their new partners? It happens all the time. So if the non-disclosure clauses were really that restrictive that they couldn't reveal any details of their relationships whatsoever, why are other stars getting away with it? So yeah, as secretive as they're trying to be, my take, and listen, it's just a theory, but I think they're married, and depending on Geoffrey's case, maybe they'll reappear on our screens again sometime soon. If I'm right and they are indeed married, this would be Geoffrey's 5th marriage and Varya's 2nd marriage. And get this, there's rumours Varya might be pregnant. In recent weeks, she's posted various things on IG that definitely seem to reveal that she's expecting a child. For example, she's been seen painting a room in light blue, and she's also been seen wearing a t-shirt that reads, "All mama, no drama." And she's also revealed that she's had 2 recent emergency visits to the hospital, costing her about $4,000. But although she apparently needs surgery, she can't have it now, and whatever the procedure is, it apparently needs to wait. She hasn't actually revealed what her symptoms or what the problem is, but could the delay be down to the fact she needs to wait until after a birth? I don't know, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Now, whether or not the pregnancy rumours turn out to be true, Varya's got to be questioning what the heck is going on in Geoffrey's mind sometimes. I mean, take for example his strange chest tattoos, which he refers to as peacock eyebrows. Apparently, Geoffrey never wanted tattoos, but he got them on the spur of the moment after he went to a tattoo convention with his friends and didn't want to feel left out. And he's regretted them ever since. Still, his unique body art doesn't appear to have put off extraterrestrials, because in a recent IG post, he talks about embracing and treasuring his extraterrestrial experiences, and he shares photos of what he claims are, quote, orbs, unearthly beings connected to spirits of the afterlife. And listen to this, he's also revealed that he's thinking of selling his sperm in order to raise $10,000 to help with his legal fees. Wow, honestly, I mean, I get that money might be tight, but surely there's other ways. Geoffrey's primary income at the moment comes from renting out properties. In the past, he also worked as an actor, and he also does some building and renovation work. The problem is, work seems to have run dry since appearing on 90 Day Fiance. Unlike other cast members who've been able to cash in on their fame, Geoffrey hasn't been able to secure any notable brand deals, and the fact that his cameo has only 27 reviews kind of tells you all you need to know about his popularity. As for Varya's money situation, she claims that she's been able to fund her stay in the States by selling her apartment in Russia. But since leaving her family home in Siberia, aged just 17, she's clearly been a hard worker, working at various times in sales, as a gas station attendant, and also as a helper in a kindergarten class. Most recently, before uprooting to America, she had her own business planning weddings, as well as DJing and MCing at them. And she discovered her passion for DJing through her ex-husband. Apparently he works as a wedding DJ, and while they were together he used to get a lot of female attention during his gigs. So she started going along with him to fend off female interest, and that's where she learnt her DJ skills, and that's how she got her start as a wedding planner. So what about the other party in the Geoffrey Varya story, Mary? Where is she now? Well, in June 2020, she told the Dominic Natty Show,
"Are you in love with Geoffrey?"
I still have love for Geoffrey, we'll say that. I'll answer that for you.
However, more recently on an Instagram Live in February 2021, she revealed that she and Geoffrey are no longer even friends. Talking about her experience on the show, Mary also shared that she received a lot of fan backlash and found it very uncomfortable having people insulting her online and digging into her past. One of the things that got brought up at the time was that, like Geoffrey, Mary also had her own run-ins with the law, including being arrested for domestic violence against the boyfriend. But what seemed to have been overlooked was that arrest from 2013, long before she was on the show, didn't result in any jail time, and the judge actually threw out her case. As for Mary and Varya's relationship, if you want to call it that, despite clashing on the show, they do appear to have buried the hatchet. They are far from friends, but they did speak off camera, and Varya expressed her regret for being, quote, rude and childish.
That was rude and childish. I regret.
So, what are your thoughts on all the drama? How would you feel if Geoffrey and Varya were to appear on the show again? Would it put you off 90 Day Fiance? Speaking of appearing on the show again, have you heard the latest about David and Lana? I'll put that on screen for you to check out now. And hey, do me a favour, if you've made it this far to the end of the video, hit that like button, and if you haven't already done so, hit subscribe to stay up to date with all my latest 90 Day Fiance videos. Thanks for watching, catch you on the next video.